All right, guys, that was a bonkers win for the Utah Jazz and just shows how good they are. You know, to overcome a Lamelo Ball team that played incredibly well for the first three quarters, that's an impressive win for the Jazz. This is the Hoops Nerd postgame show. All right, guys, the stream looks to be working. Hopefully, the sound looks to be on. I don't know why that happened, but we're restarting the stream. And you know what? We were shaky just like the Jazz were in the first three quarters of this game. Let's talk about the Hornets before we talk about the Jazz. If you don't appreciate what LaMelo Ball is and what he can do for your team, maybe you don't like the NBA because LaMelo Ball is incredible. I'm afraid of that man. I am afraid of LaMelo Ball and what he does to opposing defenses. His ability to push the ball with size and speed is remarkable. He's unbelievable. And he did this last time he played the Jazz, and he did it tonight. The Hornets had a game plan tonight. It was pretty clear they were trying to play in transition, and it really worked for like 2-3 quarters. And they built like an 8-point lead or so. It might have been even double digits at one point. And really one of the big facets of that is LaMelo Ball, his ability to push the ball. And then what was really good for the Hornets is their bigs, Biyombo and Zeller. I think it's Cody Zeller. I know there's like the Zeller triad or whatever it is. But Zeller was really good at kind of slowing down the Jazz bigs in transition and allowing LaMelo Ball to just cook. And it was impressive stuff. LaMelo Ball tonight, 8 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. He was kind of the focus of a really good Jazz defense, but he scores 21 points and was only a -3 in a Jazz. The Jazz won in the end by like 22. So that tells you, how much positive effect LaMelo Ball has on the game. And also 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. LaMelo Ball was a monster tonight. He was so good. Guys, sorry about the down stream. For whatever reason, it dropped my computer. For the first time ever, this new computer dropped the audio, and I don't know why. Fidel Lopez, yes, sir. It works now. Yes, thank you, Fidel. We're back. Shantheric, yes, sir. Thank you, Shantheric. Yes. Furby Jr., $5. R.I.P. Haywood, yes. He tried, and he came to Salt Lake to get a win, and he did not. And he fell into Rudy. And actually, let's hope that he's just okay because, you don't wish injury on anybody, but it looks like he rolled on that injury. It did not, or on that wrist, it did not look very good. But the frustrating thing, if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, is that Hayward's been great this year. And I might do a video about this of why Hayward was good in Utah, okay in Boston at best, and then really good in Charlotte. And really the reason comes down to the fact that he is like the focal point of that offense. When you have everything designed around you, like it was in Utah, he goes to Boston. He's like the fourth option out of all these different guys, whether it's like Kyrie, Brown, Tatum, then Hayward, and then, who is it? Kemba, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Hayward. I mean, when he's the fourth option, that's just not adhering to his game. His game is where he has the ball in his hands and he either plays in a pick and roll, passes out to a 3-point shooter, or sets up the big, or does his kind of turnaround mid-range free throw line game that is really good. And we saw that today. Fidel Lopez, isn't that new emoji nice? The new championship trophy that's coming to Utah, baby. It really is. But that's what Hayward does well. And when you have Hayward just kind of playing off the ball all the time, you're really negating everything that he does well. And honestly, what he does well is have the ball in his hands, and he sets up everyone else. And it's, that's where his strengths are. That's why it wasn't working in Boston. He's the fourth option. He's like a spot-up 3-point shooter that kind of moves the ball around. That's not Hayward's game. And so in Charlotte, he's the focal point, and we see what he can do. And then you have Hayward and LaMelo who handle the ball, and you have someone like Terry Rozier who's having a big-time year this year with his 3-point shooting. You've got shooters around, and you've got ball handlers that attack in transition. It's no wonder he's having a nice year, and I'm sure he's having fun. Hayward's a weird dude. I don't know if he's ever happy, but he's playing well, and it looks like he's enjoying it. I don't know. Maybe he's happy. He finally had a boy, so congrats to Hayward on having a boy. Scott Madsen, yeah, LaMelo made me nervous every time he had the ball. He was really good tonight. He hurt my feelings when he did that lower his hand to the floor thing on Mike Conley. That hurt my feelings. I didn't like that. It made me sad. But he looked really good tonight. He was awesome. Shantheric, let us praise to the ninth head of the Hydra, George Niang. That's right. The Hydra strikes again. Hail Hydra. Hail Jazz Hydra. The Jazz come out and they cut off the head of, Rudy didn't have a great night for the first 3 quarters, and the fourth quarter he explodes with, his, usual defensive prowess. And guess what? It was George Niang and Joe Ingles who knocked this game out of the park. George Niang 7 for 7 from 3, and I believe Ingles hit 7 threes as well. And that was the game. So you have the whole starting unit for the Jazz that played just kind of okay at best. Donovan Mitchell had a rough night in terms of turnovers. Mitchell had 6 turnovers tonight. That's rough. And the Jazz won by 20. That's bonkers. Royce O'Neal, 2 for 6 from 3. I actually thought Royce was pretty good tonight. Bojan Bogdanovic, 0 for 4 from 3. I don't know what is going on with Bojan Bogdanovic, but he is struggling to shoot the 3 right now. He had a night the other night where he's 3 for 4, and then tonight 0 for 4. Can we just shoot 38% from 3? Can we just hit 2 for 5 every night, Bojan? 2 for 5 from 3 every night, and I'm happy. And that's 40%, and that's amazing. That's what you want. And then you actually look at Donovan's numbers, 8 for 17 from the field. Pretty solid. 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Actually, really nice night for Donovan. It's just the turnovers that were so killer tonight. Tonight, the Jazz had, how many turnovers did they have? 22 turnovers. It's just too many. It's too many. You can't win. And then it doesn't even matter. That's what's funny is the Jazz are so good that they can overcome bad turnover games. Guys, I'm loving you using these emojis. It's great. The new IT emoji, it's great. Championship, all of it. Let's see. Furby Jr., yeah, that isn't great. I hope he recovered quickly. I agree. Let's just hope he recovers. I don't care for Hayward. It's frustrating how he left the Jazz, but, I don't hope he's not hurt. Robert Hall, $2. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. We should get a Hydra emoji. Hydra emoji. Jazz Hydra. I like that idea. We just got to get more people sign up for the channel. I think we had a few people sign up. Sorry that if I missed you guys. I try, but I try. DW, and then that's me speaking English. That's how I speak to you guys. That's what this channel is, apparently. DW, Jazz going all the way. I love it, DW, with the consistent positivity. Because guess what? If we believe it, it will come to pass. 199. Thank you, DW. I appreciate it. Shantheric upgraded to All-Stars, baby. Welcome to All-Stars. Guess what? In a couple weeks, we're going to be doing the All-Star chat. Bojan and Hayward can hold hands now. Injuries. I guess so. Ezekiel recipe Hayward. Yeah, I don't know. Hayward's not my favorite for leaving, and he really screwed the Jazz when he left in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways we don't even realize. So you know what? But whatever. I'm over it. The Jazz are better without him. He's better without him. But anyways, let's talk about George Niang. One thing I wanted to talk about, and this was something, and people were hating on Niang last year, and it was weird because he honestly plays 10 to 15 nights at most anyway. So it's really like 10 to 15 minutes of George Niang is not affecting the game that much. And I know there's numbers out there that show on-off and all these different things. But here's one thing. Do you think that playing with Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley and Derek Favors and Rudy Gobert on the second unit is a little bit better than playing with Ed Davis, Jeff Green, and Emmanuel Mudiay? Do you think that affects how well you play in a game if you're playing with those caliber of players? Because I think so. One of George Niang's, and he's actually multi-talented, and he showed this season what he can do. But one of his biggest positives is that he shoots the ball. But if you have Emmanuel Mudiay never passing you the ball because his ability is to kind of do a score. I don't know what he can do. He wasn't very good. I don't like watching Emmanuel Mudiay play basketball. But he didn't passing the ball to George Niang. And I love Jordan Clarkson, and Jordan Clarkson is an important part of this team and one of the major reasons the Jazz are going to go at least to the Western Conference Finals this year at minimum. But last year, Jordan Clarkson came in and he was getting buckets. His job is not to pass George Niang the ball all the time. Jordan Clarkson's duty is to make buckets. And then when you have Tony Bradley and Ed Davis and Jeff Green, and that's who are the other bigs on the floor, and people are blaming Niang? Like we're blaming Niang for all that misfortune for this Jazz team? It was not George Niang's fault. Let's just say that. It was the fact that George Niang was playing around an ensemble of players that didn't compliment him well. Now all of a sudden you're playing with Mike Conley and Derek Favors. Rudy Gobert sometimes plays with that second unit. You're playing with Jordan Clarkson, who at times has gotten 5 assists a game. That ball is moving, and all of a sudden he's playing really well. It's not surprising. You've got to give credit to Niang for his defense this year, although I honestly, if you go watch those games last year and you watch George Niang on defense, It's not a lot different than what it is now, honestly. Like when I was watching film of George Niang, because I'm a George Niang fan, it's not much different. He's not much different, guys. He's very similar. Go look at Basketball Reference. Go look at his three-point percentage. It's almost exactly what it always is. It's like right at 40%. I think tonight he actually raised it like a huge amount just because he went 7 for 7. But he is a consistently good three-point shooter, and I think he's starting to hit threes in big clutch moments. But George Niang's been in big clutch moments before. Remember the Houston series where George Niang and came on the floor with I think it was with Jay Crowder that season, and they won a game, and part of that was George Niang playing really well. He played well in his first season with the Jazz against the Houston Rockets. He is a solid player. So anyone who's hating on Niang, it's like, well, have some perspective. That's what you got to do. The other guy that we've got to talk about is Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is having an incredible season this year. Joe Ingles tonight was, let's just look at the stat line because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing from down under. 7 for 10 from 3. Why did I say that? That was so weird. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 21 points, plus 32 for Joe Ingles. Mama, that is a bad man. And that is a big reason why this Jazz team won. Like we said, the Jazz Hydra showed up again tonight. And they cut off 5 heads. And guess what? George Niang popped up and Joe Ingles popped up. And that's what won the game. They just were monstrous. 14 for 17 from 3. That's what they did. And that's what created the 20-point lead or whatever it was. Mini-Man emoji time. I love it. I love it. Furby Jr., way to go. Let's see. Ryan Perry, it only took maybe 20 games for Quin to figure out those guys weren't working last year. And who stepped in? George. Honestly, and I actually you guys know I'll bag on Quin if I feel like it. Not this year that much. There's not a lot that I can bag on Quin about this year. Honestly, he's playing amazing. But Quin does take his time to switch things out, but that's like a front office thing. And honestly, when the Jazz signed Ed Davis, that was the one that was really surprising to me. Everyone thought Ed Davis would be really good. Like Ed Davis being not very good was a surprise to everybody. It was just bad luck. Like sometimes you sign someone that you think is going to be really good and they turn out to be really not good. And it just happens, kind of like when the Boston Celtics signed Gordon Hayward. They thought he'd be really good and he wasn't. Tough for the Celtics. Yes. DW 199. Jordan Clarkson is an all-star. I agree. He's been as essential to this Jazz team winning as anybody. He's been incredible. Jordan Clarkson comes in and gets buckets when you need it. And the Jazz rely on him. He's an important part of this team. And his 25 to 30 minutes a game are so valuable. And they take pressure off of Donovan. It takes pressure off of Mike Conley. Mike Conley, who in the last 2 games has looked a tiny bit rusty to me. And once he gets even in a better flow, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be Jazz monster again. Hydra monster. Joshua Blaylock Dixon. Let's go, Jazz. Yeah, baby. Thank you for the $2. And I agree, Joshua. I agree. Furby Jr., LOL, you're welcome. Justin Tyway, the Jazz potentially have 4 All-Stars on the team. That's why we are winning. Yeah. And really, they're playing Spurs-esque from 2014, where they move the ball, they shoot the ball at a high clip, and they defend. And that's a formula for winning. I think the Jazz need to worry about a little bit defensively what they're going to do against big wings. Because the 2 teams that, and I guess the 3 teams you got to worry about if you're the Jazz are Lakers, Clippers, and Nets, who all have big wings. You've got the Harden and Durant on the Nets. You've got LeBron on the Lakers. And LeBron, like we've said, he is Thanos. And then on the Clippers, you've got Kawhi and Paul George. And the Jazz have to guard those guys. And so Royce O'Neal is an incredibly important part of this team. That's why I think sometimes, and tonight's, not a great night to talk about Mie Ione. By the way, go watch, if you have a chance, go watch Mie Ione fall down in the water when they sprayed George. That was amazing. That was so good. But anyways, I do think that there are times where Quin should switch with like George Niang and Mie Ione, just in terms of offense. You want offense, get George Niang out there. Although George Niang's been pretty good defensively, but Mie Ione has been impressive defensively. So I think there's times where you can flip those two and play matchups. Quin doesn't always seem to play matchups. Quin plays like this is the rotation. This is what we do. We execute at a high level, and it's worked this year. So I guess I can't say a lot. But, man, that camera, I wish you'd focus. Like the Jazz, it took them like till the fourth quarter to focus. Joshua Blaylock Dixon, yeah, Jazz Nation, woo, hey, yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, I hope I said it the way you wrote it. That's what I try to do. But yes, $2. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate it. Thank you. But anyways, George Niang was big tonight. Joe Ingles was big tonight. Jordan Clarkson, monster. Just every single night, his imprint is the same. And one thing I love about Jordan Clarkson, who, by the way, 5 for 10 from 3 tonight, that was huge. And that's as much a part of us winning this game as anything. But you can just count on him to score. He is playing at just such an elite level, and he does like 3 things. He goes to the rim, he either takes his floater, or he shoots a 3. And that floater, honestly, is a layup for him. That his touch around the rim is so incredible to me. So, and by the way, Robert Hall, Rudy had 6 blocks. Yes, he did. Rudy really showed up big time near the end for sure, and he actually played pretty solid defense for the most part. I think the game plan of the Hornets was to run and just get, like, honestly, every game plan that goes against the Utah Jazz is how do we remove Rudy Gobert out of the equation. And I think tonight was actually an interesting thing from the Hornets in that a lot of teams, to get Rudy Gobert out of the equation, they try to stretch him out in the half-court offense. So they'll, like what the Clippers did, they put Morris at center and try to stretch Gobert out, and it actually worked somewhat. I think Rudy has to sometimes just commit to guarding his man, and the other Jazz players sometimes have to guard their men. Like Rudy always wants to back into the paint. It's not because he's not able to guard on the perimeter. It's because he knows that if he can guard the paint, he can stop anyone from scoring. And that's what Rudy Gobert does incredibly well. But sometimes he's just going to have to commit to a perimeter guy, and the other Jazz defenders have to step up. But the big thing that Utah needs to do, sorry, I just lost. Justin Ty H, $9.99. You're amazing, man. Thank you. I'll get to your questions. Let me finish this thought. The thing that Charlotte did that was interesting is they really did a good job of getting Rudy Gobert kind of out of what he does in the transition play. So where they have Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors in transition, they're running. It doesn't allow Rudy Gobert to get back in a half-court set. So he's not able to stop, do what he does best, and that's like demolish people at the rim. So that was interesting. I think that's 2 ways you can get Rudy Gobert kind of. It's not necessarily get Rudy Gobert out of the game, but it's diminish a lot of what Rudy Gobert does that's so good. And that's interesting. It's interesting what Charlotte does. It's an impressive coaching job, actually. James Borrego, good coach. That's good stuff. And he's turned Lamelo Ball into an impressive player. Lamelo Ball, who last year was barely able to pass the ball without turning it over. He'd have incredible highlights. He'd also have 8 turnovers. And LaMelo Ball has turned into an efficient offensive player. Tonight, LaMelo Ball, and we're done talking about LaMelo Ball, though I really enjoy watching. LaMelo Ball, 3 turnovers, 4 assists. So I guess tonight's not the night to talk about the assist-to-turnover ratio, but he was -3 in a 20-point loss, so that tells you. Justin Ty H, thank you again, sir. That's amazing. You guys are amazing. You don't have to donate if you don't want to, but if you do, I appreciate it. It's amazing. Thank you. Do you think this year's success has anything to do with the new owner? I think so. I mean, here's what I think with the new owner. I think that the Miller Group was a very, very solid ownership group, especially Gale and Larry. Those were the great, great Miller owners. What having Ryan Smith does, and I talked about this actually on a podcast with a guy from New York. They called me, I don't know even where it is. Why did I even do that? I don't know. But someone wants to talk about the Jazz with me, I will talk to you about the Jazz. But one of the things we talked about is the fact that Ryan Smith comes in, and what he does is it's not just necessarily being willing to go into the luxury tax. And I actually don't know if that's like the best gauge of what makes a really good owner. Like, just because you're willing to go in the luxury tax doesn't mean you're just like this incredible owner. It means you're willing to spend some money, and he is willing to do that. And that is actually important. Like, it might matter a lot next year because Mike Conley is going to be up for a contract. They might have to overpay Mike Conley. And if they overpay Mike Conley, that means they're going in the luxury tax. But, Ryan Smith might, if the Jazz can like go deep or go to the finals or win the finals, you're going to do that. You definitely going to do that. And so that's one thing that's nice about Ryan Smith. But what else he's doing is his personality gels. He has a viewpoint that is similar to what the players have. So the players know that they're playing for someone that believes in issues that they believe in. That matters. That's something that they can feel. Like, you want to see a problem is go look at the New York Knicks and James Dolan. His attitude and his viewpoint on things is not in line with his players. He is not connected to the players. He's not a fan of the players, and it shows. And the Knicks are having a nice year this year, but it's not, I don't know if it's going to be long or short or what. You don't know with the Knicks because their owner is just so culturally bad. He's such a poison. So with Ryan Smith, you've got a smart guy that understands his role, that he lets guys do their job. He puts players and coaches and GMs in the right spot to do well, and it shows. And he's only been in there 1 year, so I think it's hard to gauge too much of what he's done, but you can bet that this guy is going to come in and he's going to make this locker room the best locker room you've ever been in. He is going to make, being a Jazz player is going to be such an incredible experience because Ryan Smith is going to give them the best of everything. And you give credit to the Millers who have already started that, but I promise you Ryan Smith is going to continue that. Like when you go to the Jazz practice facility, those guys have a personal chef that will get them whatever they want. And stuff like that matters. Having state-of-the-art facilities, places that the Jazz going to practice is like, it's like enjoyable because you get to sit around in a place you enjoy being. New lounge. I think they renovated one of the entryways or something like that just to be nice. It's a big deal. Mark Cuban did this, and he's my comparison for Ryan Smith. He's Utah's Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban came in and changed everything about that Mavericks organization and made everything about winning and making a great place for players to play and be. And it, having Dirk Nowitzki is part of winning a championship, but Mark Cuban definitely helped. And so maybe it can be a factor in bringing in somebody. Maybe there's someone this off. So here's the thing. Trade deadline's coming up. And I don't know if the Jazz are going to make a move. Maybe they do. I kind of wonder if Bojan Bogdanovic is someone you should think about. Can we get something out of this? Could we get a defensive upgrade maybe or something? Who knows? That's just off the top of my head. But maybe there's a guy in the buyout market that gets let go. Maybe there's someone that says, hey, I like what the Jazz are doing. I like the Jazz organization. I hear from the players that it's a nice place to play and be, that the facilities are great, that the coach is great, the organization's awesome. It might be something that helps bring players in. That's how he can make an impact. And there's other things I'm sure I don't know in terms of just running the organization and stuff, but he's great. I'm such a big fan of Ryan Smith. It's perfect. Let's see. Robert Hall. Let's see. Oh, you're replying. Sorry. Furby Jr. Yeah, Rudy almost got the booty. Yeah, Rudy was like struggling until the fourth quarter, and then he just destroyed the Hornets. That I love the fire from Rudy too. I just want that fire all game, Rudy. Furby Jr. Ball is awesome. Yes, he is. And guys, I love the new emojis. They're great. Use them. They're fantastic. And the more people that join the channel, the more emojis I can go get. Jazz need to go get number 1 seed in home court and playoffs, stay healthy, and go all the way. I agree, Matthew. That's probably where we're going to end this because this is a big win tonight. This was a game the Jazz did not play well. This is a game they don't win last year because, they just didn't have the flow and chemistry like they do this year. This is a game that really matters because these nights where you probably should have won or probably should have lost and then you win the game, that leads to a number 1 seed. And a number 1 seed for the Jazz matters. And we've talked about this before, but we'll just end on this. If you get the number 1 seed, it means that you don't have to play the Lakers or Clippers. You probably don't have to play them both. So the Lakers and Clippers can cancel each other out, and hopefully you play just one of them. Let's see. Finally, to end, we've got to go and shout out to our All-Stars. And we had a new All-Star tonight, which is amazing. Let's see. All right. I figured out how to do this a little better. Shan Therick, thank you, sir. Ryan Perry, it was so nice to meet you the other night, Ryan. Nice to have you as part of this Jazz stream. Justin TYH, thank you, Justin. You're amazing. Patrick Akubo, I just love saying your name. You're awesome. Thank you for being part of the channel. Robert Hall, thank you. You're awesome. Thank you, Robert. Kyle Christensen, thank you, sir. You're one of the best. Kyle Christensen, DW, Jazz going all the way, right? I agree. David Lee, you're the man. Thank you, David Lee, for joining. And then Jorge Arizaga, mi amigo de Mexico. I love you. You're awesome. You guys, you're amazing. I appreciate all of you. Rookies, starters, and all-stars, you're amazing. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Make sure if you're not part of it, like and subscribe or join the channel. I appreciate it. it makes this thing run. And for me, it's amazing. So I appreciate it. Guys,